G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yes, I have give credit where credit's due. Mr. Rob Penny, congratulations, sir. He has won Super Rugby. He has went from like one of the worst Waratahs coaches ever to taking over the Crusaders last year and basically gave one of the worst seasons, if not the worst season of the Crusaders, the entire history of the club, and then turning all of that around to winning Super Rugby this year. And that is my goodness, quite a huge achievement for any coach. And he has, Mr. Rob Penny has proven once and for all that, hey, when he was at the Waratahs, it was everybody else's fault and not his coaching methods. So yeah, congratulations, Mr. Rob Penny. You did a really good job turning the team around, and I thought the Crusaders looked a bit rough at the start of the season, but he's able to, polish everything up. And despite not having Richie Mo'unga, he's still won Super Rugby. So you really can't say the fact that Richie Mo'unga was the reason the Crusaders couldn't win it last year, and the All Blacks needs Richie Mo'unga to win Test Rugby. Mr. Rob Penny, he has proven you don't need Richie Mo'unga to win Super Rugby, and the All Blacks definitely don't need Richie Mo'unga to be a top-tier international test team. Now, with that being said, of course, the HIA controversies continued on the weekend. This time actually happened to both teams, I've got to say. At first, Calveley was taken off the field, the Crusaders captain. Now, I don't know why it's the Crusaders that always breach this law. You can explain this to me. But Calveley was taken off with a head-on-head collision for a yellow card. And then 10 minutes later, he was replaced by a teammate because the commentators said it looks like Calveley failed HIA. Now, they didn't say that it was confirmed. It looks like the reason it was being substituted because he failed HIA. And then a few minutes later, he was put back onto the field. Now, obviously, if the HIA goes longer than 10 minutes, it's understandable that someone else will come on and then he will come back when he passes HIA. But the problem here was, once again, Calveley had taken more than 12 minutes to return onto the field from the HIA. That should not be allowed, right? And now some of you Crusader fans were like, oh, Wildcard, you're just being stupid because Calveley didn't take the HIA until the end of the yellow card. Now, that is a possibility. But isn't that like the point? Isn't that like the definition of cheating? Because if you have a concussion and you take a 10-minute break and then go take a HIA test, you're more likely to pass that, right? Like, it's like everybody who watches boxing or UFC will know this. If you take a break, your concussion symptoms goes away. That's like the definition of cheating an HIA test. If you were to try to pass the HIA test after being knocked out, you will take a break and then do the test. But hey, look, I'm not going to jump the gun and say that Calveley deliberately cheated the test by taking a break. Maybe he did, maybe he did not. But there was something really weird happened as well for the Chiefs team, is that Luke Jacobson was clearly knocked out and then was allowed back onto the field after a 12-minute HIA. 43 comes back. Luke Jacobson comes back at 55. Just in case. 43, he comes back 55. Right? Jacobson comes off 43, he comes out 55. Now, the only way that Luke Jacobson could pass a HIA is by taking a break before he goes to see the doctor. Let me just show you. This is the incident. That is a technical knockout. If that happened in the UFC, it's the end of the fight. There's absolutely no doubt about it. That is a TKO. He's seeing stars. That is 100% not allowed back onto the field. And somehow he's allowed back onto the field. And the only way I can think of for him to get that done is taking a break before taking the test. Now, is that what Calveley did to pass the test? I don't know. But hey, something's going on with it's either that teams are just like taking a break before they take the test to pass these tests, or the doctors in New Zealand don't actually have a qualified medical license, right? I don't know which one it is, but something is not right here in Super Rugby. Let's move on. Next up, yes, so I'm going to have a bit of rant here. So this guy, Ben Calveley, this guy is like the definition of I guess, I don't know, maybe maybe a mate's hire or something. I don't know. This guy is like the definition of somebody who don't know how to do their job, and you question how he got offered the job in the first place, right? So this guy is the CEO of the Lions, the British and Irish Lions. I know, not the South African one. I don't think they hire idiots that don't know how to do their job. This guy threatened to sue Rugby Australia for breach of contract if the Wallabies don't release the players to play in the club rugby's, the club games that the Lions will be playing against, like the Western Force, right? So he's threatened to sue for damages and loss if the Wallabies don't release their players because, financially they're going to be hurt, right? They're going to be fewer people want to watch the game if you don't release the big names. Now, it kind of makes sense. And then you see this. The British and Irish Lions rejects the golden point proposal from Rugby Australia. So, if you really care about the prosperity of the game, why would you reject golden point? Literally, like the one thing. The one thing that not a single person in the Northern Hemisphere, not a single person in the Southern Hemisphere, not a single person in the past, not a single person in the future, not a single child that hasn't been born yet wants to see a draw British and Irish Lions tour. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody's going to go out and buy the DVD collection of the draw series. Nobody's going to go out and rewatch the draw series. Nobody's going to want to see that. It is literally the biggest disappointment and one of the easiest way to increase the viewership and relevance of rugby in the world stage by just eliminating the draw series. And this idiot is opposing that. And that left me wondering, how did they get this guy? And I looked at his LinkedIn. British and Irish Lions, CEO of the British and Irish Lions. He has never had a real job that required him to make money. To actually make money. UK Sport, RFU, let's face it, RFU, if they know how to make money, Bill Sweeney wouldn't be walking away with a big fucking bonus pack, right? And Six Nations, interim COO. And then he's become part of the Lions, and now he's the CEO of the Lions. I mean, this guy is the definition of somebody who never ran a business that made money. And you wonder, he comes out and threatens to sue and rejects literally the one thing that nobody wants to see. Nobody wants to see this. Nobody wants to rewatch the draw series. Nobody wants to reminisce the good times in 2017. Nobody. Because it was a tragedy. It was a travesty. Nobody won. Everybody lost. Nobody want to wait 12 years to see a draw series. And it's actually 24 years since there was a decisive result between New Zealand and the Lions. Nobody wanted to see that. Nobody wanted to wait 24 years for a decision. It's so stupid. And you wonder why rugby's dying. You wonder why rugby's dying in UK. And I know, none of you Irish fans, Ireland and Scotland as well, don't laugh at England's, failing clubs and, the entire Welsh Union failing. The only reason you guys are afloat because of your imports. Let's face the fact. Without the imports, you guys will be failing and struggling too. And this idiot has the balls to come out, rejecting something that's obviously good for the game, and then threatens to sue if the players don't get released. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Never made a fucking profit in his whole career. Unbelievable. Anyway, Joe Schmidt is basically saying that it's impossible because some players has to play Fiji on the weekend. The Wallabies are playing Fiji, and then next week, and then the Waratahs are playing like the same day. There's no way they can release players for both games. Not possible, right? So basically, it's not possible, but they will release a couple of players here and there if possible to play in the club rugby to bolster the local teams for the Lions tour. But hey, it is what it is, right? And then you look at the Lions losing to Argentina for the first time. Yeah, I hope you get your money back. And then, the Steve Larkin as well understands that if players are not being released back to the club, he thinks the more important is winning the tour, not trying to bolster teams to try to win the club games. It's not really the priority. And obviously, just like I said, the Lions tour stacked with Southerners, and it's like I actually don't think the Southerners should be allowed to tour, to be honest, because the whole point of the Lions tour is for the Northerners to come south, and if you're already a Southerner, I mean, doesn't that defeat the point of the Lions tour? I don't know, but hey, they have a stack including the core players like Bundy Yaki. The center combination is apparently going to be Bundy Yaki and what's his name? And Tupolotu, who was an Australian. So yeah, without the imports, you guys wouldn't be half of your team will be missing here, right? So yeah. Anyway, and then the problem is, not because it's not because we shouldn't do that, like shouldn't be importing. The problem is the game is dying in core areas like Wales, Scotland, right? The problem is your game is dying and you're not promoting it in the right way because of stupid decisions like allowing the Lions tests to be a draw. This is what kills the game. This is why you have to get imports. Because you don't have locals that are growing up. Because you don't have an environment that everybody's excited to watch the game. Because of this. And he thinks he's smart and trying to sue everybody. Let's sue, send the lawyers out. Fuck me. Fuck me, this guy's an idiot. Fuck me. Anyway, that's my little rant for this video. The Lions have announced their team to play against the Western Force. And pretty strong team. They've basically got something like half their starting team for this game. And the Western Force is not, the number one ranked team in Australia by a far stretch. But this will be a big one. Finn Russell is going to be starting. James Lowe, Tupolotu, Gary Ringrose, like Tupolotu again could be starting. The Lions there. Mac Hansen as well, returning home. You've got Schoeman, Ty Furlong as well. He's got some, this means some more game time. Understandable why he's there. The lineup didn't work that well on the weekend, and so it's understandable that he's getting another run at 3 with Sheehan here as well. Obviously, the captain is not here. What's his name? Maori Toji's not here. Ty Byrne as well had a tough week on the weekend. Joe McCarthy gets a shot. Josh Van der Fleer 7. Henry Pollock gets to start at number 8. The youngest guy in the Lions team at the moment. And then Alex Mitchell off the bench. Marcus Smith at number 15 as well. And Hugh Jones from Scotland comes in number 22. Again, someone who's really knocking on the door to want to start the Lions tour in the center position. Hugh Jones. I think there could be a chance there. I mean, if it's either him or Tupolotu. They could potentially run him and Tupolotu ahead of Bundy Yaki. For the 10 and 12 combination. Sorry, for the 12 and 13 combination there. So it's really, really stacked team for the Lions to be playing against the Western Force. If you look at the Western Force, 6 Wallabies in the team. This is going to be tough. This is going to be really tough for them to try to win this one. But Curly Beale was initially named to play and then he got injured. So Ben Donaldson's has been called back to play, to come off the bench. Is he coming off the bench? No, he's a fullback. So yeah, it's still just very, very tough. Donaldson, Wallaby, Dylan Peach, Hamish Stewart, number 12. You've got Nick White, a Wallaby. You've got the Crisping, that he's like just being a name in the team and not quite started yet. Darcy Swain's a Wallaby. And who else is it? Panga Mosa has played a couple games. I think Tom Robertson may have played 1 or 2 games for the Wallabies. But yeah, very, very underpowered team. But the Western Force, they will come out guns blazing and try to put out a upset against the British Irish Lions. It's possible, but we'll have to see. It is really, really tough for them to upset the British Irish Lions with this setup. And the Wallabies have a big return this week. The Max Jorgensen has been out for the whole season. He had like an ankle injury. He looked very disappointed, and I'm really happy that he's back. This will be a great experience for the youngster to play at the Lions tour at only 20 years of age. Now let's talk about the mighty, mighty Springboks, something that undoubtedly most of you clicked on this video for. So yeah, Springboks will be playing against Barbarians this weekend, and Dr. Rasmus has named a pretty strong team with a lot of new players and some big boys. They're quoting some prop that's 153 kilos. This guy, that's not a prop. What? This can't be. This has to be a meme, not an actual player, right? Someone's just like posted all these memes and like, look at the size of this guy. I mean, this is actually a playbook out of the French, because they're the ones that really started putting these gigantic, 150 kilos props on the field, like Uni Antonio, and then now the Springboks is a copy of the French. Yes, let me hear your complaint about that on the comments. Yes. Anyway, let's talk about the Springboks, the mighty Springboks, and the players that we playing. So actually, Springboks 15. So it's like not really Springboks B team. Actual B team. This is actually the Springbok B team, okay? Don't come at me. This is the actually Springbok B team. So let's have a look at the players we'll be playing. We got Ox Inche, Malcolm Marks. So this guy, Asanathi Ntlabakanye. Hopefully I got that. John Klein, Lou Diaga, Sia Khaleesi, Vincent Tuituka. And then we got Jean-Luc Dupries, Mornay Van der Berg, Sasha Van Berg Ngomezulu, Cody Arinsa, Damien Delenda, Jesse Krill, like World Cup winning combination there, Cheslin Kobe, and Apelele Farsi. No Damien Willems at fullback. What? Oh my god, can't even make the B team anymore, Damien. What's happening? And then we've got on the bench, Mark Marnus van der Merwe. We got Jan Hendrik Vessels. We got Neethling Fauch. We got Franco Mostert. We got Huaga Smith. We got Kobus Reinach, Martin Lebok, and Andre Esterhazen. So yeah, Damien Willems can't even make the B team. What is happening? What is happening? Anyway, moving on. So yeah, Owen Farrell basically talked about he's focusing on getting back with the Saracens, despite at the Lions tour, Lions game on the weekend, looking at the Vonators, but he's saying that he's focused on getting back with the Saracens. But yeah, there's possibility, I think, Owen Farrell gets caught in. If they lose like the first test because of goal kicking, they might actually bring him in as a goal kicker at for the Lions tour. But other than that, I don't think they will need him if if the Lions are not struggling in that front. But yeah, Owen Farrell made that clear. Keith Wood has suggested that players take take time off next year in the July Test series if they participated in the Lions tour. Yeah, just soft. They do need a break. The soft Lions players do need a break, I guess. And anyway, moving on. So the mighty All Blacks has also named the team for the July Test series against the French. And yeah, big name missed out is Ethan Blackadder. Everybody's talking about him. And Razor Robertson basically explained why Ethan Blackadder wasn't selected. He reckons that yes, he's got high work rate, but the impact that he brings is not quite there. Like it didn't feel like the impact play that Ethan Blackadder brings is quite enough to be considered for the All Blacks team. And he picked Karefi ahead of Blackadder as a result, because I do think that Karefi has done really well for the Hurricanes, especially coming off the bench and just immediately making an impact, getting turnovers. And that's, I think that Scott Robertson is kind of, again, learning a page from Huaga Smith and what they did with the Springboks there. And then just try some new ideas at the All Blacks team for the selections against the French, especially the French. Unfortunately, basically a B team, despite all the commotions, all the potentials. Like they were talking about Jalibert coming over. Nope, none of the top players. There's a couple of players that didn't play in the Six Nations that was potentially a top player, but not really. But we'll have a look at that in a second. But yeah, so this will be a great opportunity for the All Blacks to try something new, and I think they're going to try that with an impact player off the bench, potentially a 7-2. What's his name? Robertson actually talked about potentially trying out a 7-2 on the bench, and I think that they might try that with Calveley, and that's why Ethan Blackadder is not being selected. Anyway, let's have a look at the men that's going to be getting the black jersey, potentially. We've got Cody Taylor, Somisoni Taukiaho, and Brody McAllister. For hookers, the props, we've got Ethan de Groot, Tyrell Lomack, who hasn't really played much this season, Fletcher Newell, Ollie Norris, Pasilio Tossi, and Tamani Williams. I think obviously Fletcher Newell and Williams will be starting, and then Ethan de Groot, maybe Tyrell Lomax on the bench. I'll have to see how they manage that. At the locks, we've got Scotty Barrett still the captain. I thought they might change the captain to Adi Savea, who's been so good from Moana Pacifica as the captain. But no, he's putting all trust on Scooty. Scooty still got the track captaincy there. Fabian Holland, everybody's talking about him for a long time, wanting him to see a debut. Honestly, I watched every game. I think pretty much every game, if not every game of I definitely watched every game of Highlanders. I don't think he's particularly amazing as everybody making him out to be. But hey, it is what it is. There really isn't that many players that are at the level of Sam Wylock or Brody Retallick anymore. I think that Holland should, I've talked about this during the Super Rugby season, should look for potentially playing for the Crusaders or playing for another team than Highlanders in New Zealand to try to get more to really get him up to the next level, to that level of Sam Wylock or Brody Retallick. I think he has the talent, but he's not really. I don't think he's quite that at the level that everybody's making him out to be there. Patrick Tuipulotu and Tupuvai. I think Tupuvai is the best lock at the moment. In the loose forwards, we've got Samapeni Finau, Luke Jacobson, Duplessis Karifi, Adi Savea, and Wallace Satiti. And then we've got, in the halfbacks, we've got Noah Holtham, Cortez Ratama, and Cameron Roygard. No Finlay Christie. I think he's going overseas anyway. In the 5'8", we've got Bowden Barrett and Damien McKenzie. Yeah, with the Ruben Love and the fullback potentially coming in at 5'8", I think McKenzie's performance the weekend was once again underwhelming. So, yeah, it's, I don't know. I think Bowden Barrett will be starting for sure. And the midfielders, we've got Jordy Barrett returning from Europe. Rico Ioane, there's some talks that Rico could potentially be put back onto the wing. Got Billy Proctor, Quinn Tupaya returning. He's someone I've been looking forward to for so long, returning to play for the All Blacks. We've got Anton Lennon-Brown and Timothy Tavatanawai, who's had an outstanding season for the Highlanders. Again, impact player coming off the bench, immediately can get a turnover as a center. Something that I think that Robertson will really want to try out as an additional impact player off the bench, especially at the breakdown. We've got our outside backs. We've got Caleb Clark, Will Jordan, Ruben Love, and Seville Reese. So no Talea. And then we've got injury cover. We've got Imoni Narawa. I'm surprised Narawa isn't selected in the first place. Christian Leo Willie, again, someone I think is being super talented, super promising coming out for the Crusaders. Coming in for Luke Jacobson. Both players having a bit of an injury. Unavailable through I'm pretty sure Jacobson's HIA, right? Unavailable through injury. We've got Asafa Amoa. Anyway, you can look at that yourself afterwards. Let's move on. So I've talked about this already. The French pretty much have a B team coming over to New Zealand. A couple of players that, a lot of players I'm not even familiar with. Demba Bamba, someone's played for the French previously. Romain Taufifenua, definitely a stable player for Frenchie for a long time, but he's kind of fallen out of favor for a little bit. Cameron Wilkie as well, falling out of favor. This guy's a relatively new guy for the French. Gao Fiku will be the captain. Again, he's been out of favor. I think he may have played one game for the French at the Six Nations, and that's it. Nono Garrick, someone's coming up the ranks, and he's going to be potentially... He was really good at Six Nations as a substitution, but needs some more time. And then we got Gabin Villiers as well as being falling out of favor for the French team. Anton Hastoy, another guy who's falling out of favor as well. But yeah, I mean, it's really disappointing. I thought we were gonna see a bit more than this. Maybe maybe a jelly bear, maybe yeah, just not quite there. The French clubs still got their vice grips on their players, not allowed them to play. Now there could be history to be made this July. Eddie Jones will be playing against Wales, and this could be the first game that Wales win, ending their 17-game losing streak against Eddie Jones. So yeah, Eddie, make that happen, please. Let Wales win this time. Moving on, Wallace Latini has a bit of injury. Already talk about that. He's just going to be out for the French series, but he will be out for the Rugby Championship. Rico being put on the wing. We'll talk about that already. Ethan Blackadder left out. Fai Wambuso had a red card on the weekend playing against the French A team. So England versus France, there was 2 red cards. Wambuso got 1, and then there was one for the what's his name? One of the French player got 1 as well, but the French player was cleared, and then Wambuso is facing a 2-week suspension for the red card. And then on the Springboks, we're almost there. Ben Jackson-Dixon has ended his dispute with the Stormers, and then he will be staying till 2027. And then finally, so Gloucester Warwick Rugby saw a 40% increase in attendance due to the management changing their play style. More focus on, set piece and fundamentals, and then open style of rugby instead of just kicking goals. And that has brought back a 40% increase to their fan base. And I thought that's a really interesting stats for everybody to think about. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys this weekend for the reviews. Cheers.